العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدم. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. In the last class we went into we were studying Kitab al-Nikkah from the book Manhaj al-Salikin. Last lesson we started Shurut al-Nikah, the conditions for the Nikah to be correct. So these shurut, the conditions that we're going through today and the ones we went through last week, are shurut al-sihha. Shurut al-sihha meaning the conditions that must be present in the contract at the gathering for the nikah to be correct and valid. In summary there, Rida Zawjain, the consent of both spouses, al-wali, the guardian, and that's where we stopped off from. We'll carry on inshallah from there. Al-shahada, having two witnesses, and ta'yin al-zawjain, specifying who the two individuals that are getting married are. We shall see that towards the end of the chapter, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Anyway, put it down. Just want to shut the door. So the first condition was there has to be consent from both partners. And if someone is forced to marry someone and they are not happy with it, then that nikah is fasid. And that nikah is fasid. And we mentioned the hadith in which the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or in which during the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the sahabiyat, Khanza bint Khidam al-Ansariya, her father married her off without her permission, and she disliked the individual, so she came to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he declared the nikah to be invalid. Like he called it a nikah, which means that if she been okay with the aqd, with the individual, then it would have been okay for her father to marry her off. Lakin, given the fact that she was an adult and she did not wish to carry on the marriage with this individual, then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam nullified her nikah. طيب. So last week we started the second condition, which was the wali. And we mentioned various adillah from the Quran and the Sunnah in which the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed the wali upon the wali in charge of the muliyat, as they call it, or whether it's his daughter, his sister, and so on. So in the Quran, when we look at the evidences from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا. Do not give your daughters, do not marry your daughters off to the mushrikeen حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا, until they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that khitab, or the ones that are being addressed, are the awliya in this hadith. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say, do not marry the mushrikeen, with the damir of the ta'nith. Also the messengers, or also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ أَن يَنكِحْنَ أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُم بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. In this verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you divorce the women and their prescribed period, the waiting period is finished, then do not prevent them from marrying whomever it is that they wish to marry. In this verse, فَلَا تَعْطُلُوهُنَّ, where is the mahallu shahid? Where is the point of evidence in this verse? وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَّغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ. If you divorce the women and the time of the prescribed period is finished, يعني the iddah, فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ أَن يَنْكِحْنَ أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُمْ. And do not prevent them, if the waiting period is over, do not prevent them from marrying off, or do not prevent them from marrying their husbands. Where's the mahal shahid?
Do not prevent.
Do not prevent, Naam, فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ. Do not prevent them. And there was a qissa, or sabab, a reason for this verse, and it was referring to a companion who married his sister off to another man, another companion. And then after some time, he divorced her. After divorcing her, her iddah finished, her iddah period, the waiting period had finished. And then he came back to the brother of his ex-wife, asking her for her hand in marriage. And then the companion said to him, La, verily I gave her to you, I honoured you and this, and then you divorced her. And then this verse was revealed. So the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَعْطُلُوهُنَّ, do not prevent them from marrying their partner, their ex-husbands, proves that the wali has the authority to prevent. The authority, the right to prevent his sister, daughter, or so on, preventing her from getting married. Also the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La nikaha illa biwali." Also the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ayyuma imra'atin nakahat nafsaha fanikahuha bighayri idni waliha fanikahuha batilun fanikahuha batilun fanikahuha batilun." Naam, fanikahuha batil. And batil means that it is nullified, it is invalid, it is false. طيب. So that is the second condition. And also when you look at it, hatta from by way of intellect or aql or nadar, when you look at it, or qiyas, that a woman, or if a woman has got a brother as her guardian or her father as her guardian, and he marries her off to a man, the father is able to, or just before he marries her off to him, the father is able to look into the situation of the individual that wants to get married to his daughter or his sister or so on. So he can investigate who he is, he can ask around, and he won't be deceived by 2 or 3 words said by the potential spouse. Whereas when it comes to the spouse, the woman who wants to get married, it is very possible for the individual to deceive her with sweet words and say things to her, say things that she wants to hear. And then later on, it may be a different story. Also, if a man knows that this woman he's marrying has got brothers, has got a father, has got uncles, the reality of the matter is that he'll be a lot more cautious and respect her a lot more, because he knows he's accountable for his actions. He knows he'll be asked. If he mistreats her, he knows her brothers are going to approach him, or her father or her uncles are going to approach him or her, approach him now. So the wali is like a shield for the woman. And that's why even when women are traveling, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam have clarified that she needs a wali, she needs a mahram for traveling. And the ruling of mahramiyya, or a woman needing a mahram when she's traveling from one place to another, is not only found in the Sunnah, lakin it's found in the Quran. Who knows of a verse that commands the women to have a mahram before they travel? وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Surah Hashr. Whatever the Prophet ﷺ comes to you with, then take it. And whatever the Prophet ﷺ prevents you from, then leave it alone. And that was the istidlal. That was the istidlal, the evidence of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, when he was asked about those women who trim their eyebrows, I believe it was. A woman came to him and said, so he said that it was in the Quran. The prohibition was in the Quran. And then the woman came to him and she said to him, I've looked in the Quran from cover to cover. However, I cannot find a verse in there, a single verse in there prohibiting the women from shortening or trimming their eyebrows. And he said to her, look again. Ala kulli hal, the verse that he was referring to, he mentioned to her, which was وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. So ala kulli hal, the wali is a condition for the nikah to take place. If there's no wali, then that nikah is fasid. If there is no wali, the nikah is fasid. If a person intentionally does it, whilst knowing the warning of not having a wali, however going ahead with it, then that nikah is batil. Batil. And we wrote it last week. And null and void. However, so if a person knows that he requires a wali and she requires a wali like him because of the father refusing or the brother refusing or the wali refusing for whatever reason, and then the individual goes to the local masjid who he knows, or he goes to a shaykh who will do the aqd, do the nikah, the contract, without a wali, and he knows the ruling, then that nikah is batil, wal-'iyadhu billah, and everything that they're doing is called zina. And the children are not ascribed to this individual, so they don't take his name, nor his lineage. They don't inherit him, and he doesn't inherit them. To the extent that some of the scholars say that the children, if it was a daughter that he gave birth to, then he's allowed to marry her. Some of the scholars mention that, because there's no connection between this woman, this daughter of his, via zina, and him. طيب. However, if a person genuinely had no knowledge of the ruling of or this condition, and then he goes to a masjid and they do the nikah for him, believing that they're on the correct opinion, or their opinion is correct according to the Sharia, whilst not knowing the correct ruling, then that nikah is fasid. That nikah is fasid. It is corrupt. It is corrupt. However, it is lesser in degree than, when it comes to severity, it is lesser in degree than the first nikah, which was batil. The children take his lineage, take the man's lineage, they inherit him and so on. طيب. Lakin, as soon as they find out, they should not renew because it wasn't existent in the first place, lakin they should do the aqd with the correct wali, the witnesses, and themselves there. طيب. وأولى الناس بتزويج الحرة أبوها وإن علا ثم ابنها وإن نزل ثم الأقرب فالأقرب من عصباتها وفي الحديث متفق. طيب. The next mas'ala that the Shaykh talks about with regards to the wali is the tartib of the awliya, the order of the awliya. So if a woman has a father, brothers, uncles and sons, then what is the order that she should, what is the order, or who takes precedence in this situation? طيب. Can her husband be her wali?
Can her husband be the wali of his wife?
وأولى الناس بتزويج الحرة أبوها وإن علا. The first one,
she can't marry.
She can't marry because she's already married to him, طبعا. The first one is, I was checking if he was awake. The first one is al-ubuwa. The tartib that I've written here is the tartib of the wilaya. The first one be al-ubuwa. So when you say abuwa, it saves you from saying the father, the grandfather, the great-grandfather, and so on. Al-ubuwa. And you'll hear that when you're talking about inheritance. Al-ubuwa, the very first one. So if a woman's father is present, no one else can become the wali. Not her brother, not her uncle, nor anyone else. No.
Can the father pass on his wilayah?
Wakil, yani.
Yeah, no, I was at Nikkah where the father was present and he said, I passed my...
لا نعم he can. The wali in general, that's a masala we're going to see. The wali himself, and remind me, when they're talking about the wilayah, for someone, for example, if the father is in another country, remind me, this masala towards the end, when we're doing the question and answers, because the father, when he's present, he can give wikala, make someone else, he can give his responsibility to someone else, his role to someone else, make him a wakil, for example. So, for example, say if the father isn't able to attend the nikah, if the father isn't able to attend the nikah, but his brother can attend the nikah. Mathalan, if the nikah is in England, طيب, and the father is in somewhere in the Middle East, but he can't attend. Like in his brother's there, he can say, I'll make you the wakil, you're my wakil. So he's there, the brother is representing his brother.
If he's present, both the father's actually there, and he passes on.
Nafs al-shay, doesn't matter. Even if he passes it on. The wilayah, if he makes him a wakil,
Is it a condition to make someone a wakil?
Is it a condition to make someone a
What's
wakil?
the conditions to make someone a wakil? You have to fulfill. Because if the father's able, there's no reason.
It's just his right that he's given to someone else who is already her nikah wali anyway. One of the other things is there's a mursi, someone that you can give a wasiyah to, someone you can leave in your will, for example, and you can say, I want him to marry such and such off. I want him to marry my daughter off. So that person takes precedence over all others.
Even the next person.
Nah, next person in line. So the first one is al-ubuwa. Ubuwa entails who? The father. So if the father is present, no one else can do the nikah. Not her brother, not her uncle, no one else. If the father is alive and present and he's able to attend and they're able to inform him, then it is haram for anyone else to do the nikah. And sadly you find and you see people who are practicing whose fathers are present at home 10 minutes away, and then they go to the masjid and someone else is doing is being the wali for his daughter.
What if the father is separate and he's present in the woman's life, but they're not talking?
Well, what we do, write down the questions, and as soon as we finish these conditions, before we move on to the next chapter, we can have some time for question and answers. There are some from last week as well. Now, so the tartib is al-ubuwa. Al-ubuwa means the father. If the father isn't present, then the grandfather. It goes over to the grandfather. If the father isn't present, passed away, for example, then it goes over to the grandfather. If the grandfather isn't there and the great-grandfather is there, then it goes to him. So we never move on to the second level of wilaya until the first level of wilaya is exhausted, and we cannot find anyone on the first level. The second level is al-ukhuwa. Al-ukhuwa, the brother. No. So when we say the brother, it's of two. The full brother, shaqiq they call it, the full brother, your father and your son, يعني the son of your mother and your father, and also the brother from the father's side, your half brother from the father's side. الأخ لأب أخ لأب, and the first one is الأخ الشقيق. Because brothers are either going to be one of three. Either your full brother, al-akh al-shaqiq, or your half brother from your father's side. So for example, your father is married to your mother and his mother. So you're both brothers and you take the same lineage, sah? Or your mother, or your brother from your mother's side. Your brother from your mother's side. Now this individual, your half brother from your mother's side, doesn't come into the wilaya. Unless his father is your uncle. Unless his father is your uncle, then he can come into it. I'll give you an example. Mathalan, your father passes away. Your father passes away. And your father's brother marries your mother. The child that he has, the son that he has, he's your half brother, sah? طيب. Not only is he your half brother, but your half brother from your mother's side, right? However, at the same time, he's also your cousin from your dad's side. Dad's side, yani he's your uncle. He's your uncle's son. And that is quite common in some cultures, where if the father passes away, his brother marries, the brother marries his brother's wife. طيب. Al-ukhuwa. And then al-bunuwa. The third one is al-bunuwa. The sons. طيب. In some of the madhabs there's a slight taqdeem and ta'khir between the brother and the son. طيب. The brother will more often than not look at things from he's pragmatic. He's not going to allow his emotions to judge the situation with regards to his sister marrying someone else. Lakin the son, more often than not what? La. He won't want anyone to marry his mother, because he feels that individual's taken his father's place, and he feels that his mother kicked out his father, whatever reason that he may feel. So he'll have some sort of jealousy. And you can see all the time where women who have got children or older children, they always have problems with their stepfather. So let alone allowing her to marry off, if you make him the wali mutlaqan, then he's going to refuse everyone. طيب. So على كل حال, لكن the messenger Salama, her son, married, the messenger Sallallahu commanded him to be the wali of his mother. So we can't rule that out again. We can't rule it out. The Shafi'iyya, they rule the son out completely. Then the fourth is al-umuma. Al-umuma, uncle. The fourth is uncles. And then as-sultan. The last one, as-sultan. Now, the sultan is to be the wali. Now the sultan, his wilaya is if all of the other guardians are not in the picture. And we'll see some situations where they can be in the picture, however, or they are present, however, the guardianship is taken from them. The wilaya is taken from them and given to the sultan. The sultan is like the leader, the ruler. The sultan is the leader or the ruler. And what takes his place is the qadi in the mahkamah, the judge at the court, so you have the sultan al-a'zam. However, because the country is massive and there's different courts, he makes a judge at the head of each mahkamah or each court. And that judge, that hakim, that qadi is going to be doing the rulings of Nikkah, whether it's marrying off, divorcing, khul', fasq and so on. So he can also be a substitute for the wali al-a'zam, or he can also be a naib, someone who is given the wikala. طيب. So that is the tartib that the Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi mentions, or with slight alteration. طيب. The wilaya of the fasiq when we're talking about the wali, there are conditions for the wali himself, and we talked about it last week. He has to be male, al-dhukuriyya, has to be male, has to be a Muslim. The wali has to be a Muslim. The wali has to be a Muslim. وَلَنْ يَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ سَبِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not give authority and guardianship over, for the kuffar over the Muslims. Also the aql طبعا, the hurriya has to be نعم. Hurriya there's a bit of khilaf in it على كل. لكن a fasiq, can he be a wali for his daughter or his sister? Meaning the opposite, is al-adl, a person being just, is it a condition for a person to be a wali? The answer is la. It is not a condition that a person is a wali. Adala, justness, it changes from place to place. Zaman ila zaman, wa makan ila makan. And if we were to say that anyone who falls into sins is a fasiq, therefore cannot be a wali for his daughter, a lot of fathers would be stripped of the guardianship, the wilaya that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. So for example, if we say anyone that shaves their beard, then they are a fasiq. Or anyone that smokes, then they are fasiq, therefore they can't be a wali. Or anyone who doesn't pray can't be a wali. Anyone that doesn't pray all the time can't be a wali, so therefore he is a fasiq. Rather, even the mubtadi', we can't say he's a fasiq in this manner. The mubtadi'. So you can't say, for example, her father is a Sufi, therefore he can't be a wali. So al-adala, the person being just, isn't a condition for a person being a wali. Like, what is a condition is that the person genuinely has to have the best interest of his daughter or his sister, whoever it is that he is marrying off. And he has to look at the masalih and the mafasid for her, the harms and the benefits that come from any nikah that can arise. طيب. If a woman has got, on any one stage, if there are different walis, for example, when we talked about the first one, the ubuwa, is it possible for two walis to be on the same level, who have both got equal rights with regards to the daughter, when it comes to al-ubuwa, when it comes to the father? Why? There's only one father, طبعا. If he's not there, you move on to who? The grandfather, and so on. However, with ukhuwa, there's a possibility of her having more than one brother that can each be a wali for her. Who takes precedence? The oldest? Huh? They're all equal. However, the oldest should be given precedence over his younger brothers, if he can carry out. If they're twins, it doesn't matter, they can split up. However, if they're brothers, they should allow the older one to marry off the young one, as a sign of respect. طيب. Lakin, if one of the brothers, for example, say there's 4 brothers, and one of them marries off his sister, and says, I've chosen such and such, and you're going to marry him, and the second one comes, or the oldest one comes, or any other one comes after the first one, and says, no, I've got such and such, this individual, I want you to marry Fulan bin Fulan, then who takes precedence? The first one or the second one? The one that came first. طيب. If there's nothing to specify them, she's got 4, no one came before the other, and none of them want to give the right to their brother. So there's 4, and each of them says, I'm going to be the wali. What can we do? Who's revised القواعد الفقهية? The question is, if there's 4 brothers and each of them is adamant saying, I've got a right to be the wali, therefore I won't give anyone else my right, what can you do? Draw lots. Now, we can draw lots. Sheikh Sa'di says, تستعمل القرعة عند المبهم من الحقوق أولاد التزاحم. If you go back to that line, all of the rights that you find, there's 2 or more individuals that have a right to this this specific thing, lakin none of them want to give it up, then you can do the qur'ah. That's why the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he used to travel, he used to draw lots. طيب. So the Sheikh says, there's a masala with regards to the sultan that comes in the end of the chapter that we can take now. With regards to sultan, since we're at it now, when does the wilaya come to the sultan? In the next few lines down, the Sheikh says, فَإِنْ عُدِمَ وَلِيُّهَا, if her wali is not present, if he is absent. If إن عُدِمَ وَلِيُّهَا, if her father is not there or her wali is not there, is not present. أو غاب غيبة طويلة, or he is absent for a very long period. أو امتنع من تزويجها كفءا, or he refuses to marry her off to someone who is suitable for her, that she is pleased with. So she's pleased with him and he is suitable for her, he's on the same level. If he refuses, he says what? زَوَّجَهَا الْحَاكِمُ, the hakim marries her off. The hakim meaning the sultan. كما في الحديث السلطان ولي من لا ولي له. The ruler, wali, is the wali of, or the guardian of man لا ولي له, the one that doesn't have the wali. The sultan is the wali of the one that doesn't have a guardian or a wali. أخرجه أصحاب السنن. طيب. So the Shaykh says, فَإِنْ عُدِمَ وَلِيُّهَا. طبعا, if she doesn't have a wali, how can that happen? For example, she doesn't have a father, no brothers, no sons, no uncles. There's no one that can be her wali. Then the hakim can be her wali. It's possible, for example, if someone is in a non-Muslim country and a woman reverts to Islam and there is no wali, she doesn't have a father, or her father is a kafir, which means he can't be a wali. Her brothers are all kuffar, maybe her children are all kuffar, and she's the only Muslim from her family, from her father's side, then she can go to a hakim. However, we said that we're in a non-Muslim country, for example. So she can go to a mahkama, Islamic court, if there are Islamic courts in that land, or an imam who she trusts, a person who is, مثلا, for example, a head of an Islamic center or Islamic markas, someone who is the head of that center, or a masjid, and she can ask him to be her wali. طيب. Why? Because she doesn't have a wali. She doesn't have a wali, and we can't say to her, because you don't have a wali, you can't get married. طبعا, you can't. So this hadith applies to her. As-sultan waliyu man la waliya lahu. The sultan is a wali or a guardian for the one that doesn't have a wali. طيب. أو غاب غيبة طويلة, the Shaykh says, or he's absent for a very long period of time. So they don't know whether he's alive, dead or alive. Or he's alive, and there's no way that they can possibly get hold of him. They can't get hold of him. Or maybe he split up with her mother once she was young, and ever since then he's been away, went into the wilderness and has never come back. They don't know where he is, to the extent that if she saw him, she probably wouldn't recognize him. So for that sort of individual where it's not possible to get hold of him and to give him the news, then the sultan can be her wali. Lakin, for example, if he split up with her mother while she was young, very young, or not young, lakin somewhere along the line, he split up with her mother, and he's in the community, he's around, people see him around, and he's not someone who's distant, like he has no connection with the family, in that case he is still the wali of the daughter, of his daughter. So this wilaya, this guardianship, is a right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to this individual. It's a right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to him. طيب. The Shaykh says, or the third one, امتنع من تزويجها كفءا, or he refuses to marry her off to someone who is suitable. So al-adl is when a person refuses to marry his daughter or his sister off to another individual. Every individual that comes, he says no. This adl, or this preventing, is of two types. It is a preventing a type that is permissible, and a type that is not permissible. A type that is permissible and a type that is not permissible. The type that is not permissible is the one that the Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi mentioned, that if someone suitable comes along and he is someone that has got religion and khuluq, his religion is mustaqim, is upright, and he has good character, and he is suitable for his daughter, lakin he refuses to marry her off for whatever reason, whether he's taken her salary so he doesn't want her to leave his home or any other reason, then in that case what he's doing is haram, it's not permissible, and he has no valid excuse, no legitimate no reason from the Sharia. He has no reason, a legitimate reason from the Sharia. For that individual, the wilaya, the guardianship, can be taken from him, and he has to go to a hakim or an imam. Lakin, even when in this situation, when the wilaya is being taken from him, it's not a case of my father won't marry off for this and this reason, therefore I give my wilaya to this imam or to this individual. La, it's not as easy as that. The father and the daughter have to both go to this imam or this hakim or this sultan, and both of them have to put their case forward. If it is apparent that the father is oppressing her, then the hakim can remove the wilaya from him, and give it to himself or to another individual. There's another mas'ala, since we're on this type. If the father won't marry his daughter off, can the wilaya carry on like this?